Hi guys, I'm Emmans. I'm prayer deacon of PCC, and I've got a message for you today. So open up your Bibles to Daniel chapter 1. This is a story about a young man and his prayer. Now Daniel was a teenager living in Jerusalem. The country of Babylon came in and conquered the city, and the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, took Daniel and 3 of his buddies into his own palace in Babylon to be trained in the king's service. It was kind of a tough story, but it's an amazing story if you read the whole book. In their captivity, the boys honored God, and God honored them. Chapter 1, verse 17 says God gave them great ability to learn, and he gave Daniel a special ability to interpret dreams. Guys, let me ask you, has God given you a special ability? Do you understand what your spiritual gifts are? If you don't, maybe now during this weird coronavirus time is a good time to pray and ask the Lord what those gifts are. Chapter 2, verse 1. In the 2nd year of his reign, King Nebuchadnezzar had a terrible nightmare. He brought in all his wise men, his magicians, his dream interpreters, and he said to them, "You guys have to interpret my dream. The only problem is, I don't remember what it was." Kind of ridiculous. But to make a long story short, none of these guys had a clue. The king got so angry he threatened to execute all of them. When Daniel heard this, he knew he had a special gift from God. He knew it was the right time to use it. He knew it was time to step up. Let me ask you guys, are you using your spiritual gifts? Is there some way God is calling you to step up? Chapter 2, verse 16. Daniel requested to appear before King Nebuchadnezzar. He knew the king was very angry and would execute anybody that could not interpret his dream. But Daniel convinced the king, and the king agreed to give him 1 day. In chapter 2, verse 18, Daniel and his buddies went home and prayed to the Lord. They needed to know what the dream was, and they needed to know the dream's interpretation. Guys, what do you think happened after Daniel prayed? Nothing. Daniel knew, and his buddies knew, they could lose their lives the next day, and yet by bedtime, they still didn't have an answer. Do you think they were nervous? How about you? Are there times when you need an answer from God and you're just not getting it? Do you freak out? Do you get upset? Or do you dig deeper and get into the Word? Do you give God time to answer your prayer in his own way? As it turns out, during the night, God did give Daniel the answer. It came in the form of a vision. I want you to look at verses 19 through 22. I'm going to ask you some questions. I want you to write your answers in the comments below. Now, think about this weird coronavirus time that we're living in. Here's the first question. What did Daniel do when he received the vision? Number 2, what does Daniel say about world events? Number 3, what does Daniel say about presidents and national leaders and governors? And number 4, finally, what does Daniel say that God knows about the coronavirus and this strange time we're living in? Guys, here's my final exhortation. Take time to be with God. Get into his word. Get into prayer with him. Write down the questions you want to ask him on paper, and then speak your requests to him in prayer. Then wait and see what he does. Blessings to you guys. See you next time.